discuss about why these tiny insects or the tiny organisms are the wonders of the nature. Because if you look at each and every mosquito, the individual, if you push by two hands, it will rupture, but still it is capable of ruling the world for millions of years. So that is what astonishes scientists or the biologists about these mosquito species. Now let me start my talk with the systematic position of these mosquitoes. Of course, they belong to the class Insecta, then order Diptera, that is two-winged flies, and we place these mosquitoes in a family called Culicidae. So there is only one family to which all the mosquitoes are belonged. So these Culicidae members are the insects which usually possess exoskeleton bandings. Now that is a very very important features compared to that of the other insect groups of the Diptera. These are the insects which possess exoskeleton bandings. I'll tell you about all those things if possible. Then if you look at the distribution, now they have a fantastic distribution. That means starting from the sea level up to 3,600 meters altitude. That means, so you can imagine, almost 10,000 feet. So the mosquito species were also documented from 10,000 feet, and they almost have a cosmopolitan distribution starting from, of course, tropical region forms the main belt in which we can observe this, but they are also found in Arctic region. So except Antarctica, wherever terrestrial environment is there, everywhere we can find this the mosquito species. Now, before going detail about the interesting features of these mosquitoes, now if you look at the total number of species that is present worldwide, it is the data taken in 2020. It is almost 3,500 species. Out of that, approximately 10%, you can say that, for example, 403 means approximately we can say that 10 to 11% of the mosquito species are documented in India. And out of that, only 31 species are very very important for us, because they are the one which will carry the diseases among the human beings. So this is about their total number of or the species diversity. Then this is just to have a glance about Indian mosquitoes. We classify Indian mosquitoes in two subfamilies. Subfamily Anopheline, to which the very important vector of malaria, that is Anopheles mosquitoes, they will be classified under here. Then rest of the all the mosquitoes will come under subfamily Culicinae. Under that there are different classification. Now this classification is very very important, because the classification updates will take place every 6 months or every year. So therefore it is very important for us to note down these species. I have noted down here Anopheles because it's one of the very important genera. So similarly there is a one more genera called Stigomia. Earlier we used to call it as Aedes mosquitoes, the vectors of dengue and chikungunya. And of course here we have one more, that is Culex, which is a vector for filariasis or elephantiasis. So this is just to have an overall view about how these Indian mosquitoes are classified. So this is about their life cycle. Of course, now these are the only insects which need or which have uh, these are the animals which are utilizing the three habitats. They utilize water bodies, they utilize terrestrial habitats, and even they use aerial mode of life. So if you look at their life cycle, it starts with the egg. Then there are larval stages of 4 stages of larvae are there. Then there will be a pupal stage, and after that the adults. Now the entire life cycle of the mosquitoes, it will be completed within about 8 to 10 days. But a mosquito can live even up to about 4 to 6 months. It is very hard to believe that these tiny creatures or the mosquitoes live for about 6 to 8 months. But actually, they can live, if the environmental conditions are suitable, they can live up to 6 to 8 months. Now you can note down here, I have told you in the earlier slide that there are two subfamilies. One is Anopheline and another one is Culicinae. The fundamental difference, you can starting from here, if you note down this, the eggs itself, eggs, usually Anopheles, they usually lay eggs uh, as a single egg, whereas the rest of them, they lay their eggs in clusters. So in water bodies, in temporary water bodies like the pools or the tanks, they usually appear as masses of uh, tiny masses of uh, the uh, the fungal tissues. So this is how these eggs are. Then you can see the larvae also. Larvae also differs because the anopheline, they usually don't have any siphon. So in order to respire, of course, even though they are aquatic stages, they respire the atmospheric oxygen. They usually come to the surface region. You can see the horizontal position. Here, these the other mosquitoes, they usually have a vertical siphon with the help of which they usually respire. Then in the adult position also, or when a mosquito rests also, based on that also one can identify the mosquito species. Usually the anopheline mosquito, they usually have a 45-degree angle, whereas the rest of the mosquitoes, they usually have almost a horizontal position while sucking the blood. Now this is the life cycle. Now of course, now when we talk about the study of the mosquitoes, we usually give preference to the aquatic stages, because most of them are related. For example, if their aquatic habitats are very close to human habitation, definitely we can expect that those mosquitoes will be present in and around that aquatic habitats. Now these are some of the examples where we can find these mosquitoes: pond, swamp, then rock pools, then pit holes, temporary pools, even the roadside, the water bodies or the temporary mud pools or the temporary pools can also act as a good breeding ground for the mosquitoes. Other than that, they can also breed in paddy fields, tires, receptacles, or even in tanks. What one has to notice is, compared to that of the other insects, they usually prefer standing water. Even though there are species of mosquitoes which hybrids in lotic systems or the streams or the uh, uh, rivers, so most of them, they usually prefer standing waters. Now these are some of the natural habitats in which we can observe these mosquito species. Now tree holes, bamboo stems, then areca sheath, coca shells or coconut husk. Even some of the mosquitoes, it is very interesting. See, you can see now this is the pineapple leaf axil and this is the colocasia leaf axil. Now there are very unique species of mosquito that usually breeds, or their larvae is present in these leaf axils. Very interesting. Very tiny mosquitoes. They can even breed, or they breed only in these type of the habitats. Then if you look at the size of their habitat, so as I said, they can breed in a very large swamp, but even some of the mosquitoes can lay eggs in a very very tiny holes. So this much of the water is enough for these mosquitoes to lay their eggs or to rear their the young ones, especially the larvae. So then the very important thing is that there is a gender disparity. That means one can easily identify male and female mosquitoes. Uh, of course, in terms of color, they are almost identical, unlike birds or any other insects. Here in color combination, we can't make out, but based on two important features, one can identify male and female. One can see here, now this is antenna. Now this antenna is bushy in case of male, and here it is thin, antenna is thin. Then there is a one more structure that is called as palpi, which is a sensory structure. That is the one that detects the host. So that is a very very short in case of female mosquitoes, whereas in males you can see a very very long and bent uh, palpi. Other than that, how to identify that? So definitely these are the ones which we have to concentrate, because these are the blood feeders. They usually take the blood meal, whereas the males are the one which will take the nectar or the plant materials as their food materials. So therefore one in the field also one can easily identify male and female, because the feathery antenna itself gives the idea that, so that is a male, otherwise definitely it is a female. So that is the difference between male and female individuals. So then a very interesting thing one has to notice is, so we all know that these mosquitoes, especially the female mosquitoes, are the blood suckers. They usually suck the blood. Now, do you think the sucking the blood is? Do you think that is a very very easy job? No, it is a slightly complicated job, because it is not like an injection needle where we can directly inject that. Insert the injection needle into the body, then directly suck the blood. No, it is not like that. If you look at this, this is a proboscis through which it will suck the blood. It acts as a dual canal. So there are actually two passages. See the evolutionary modification that takes place in the mouth part of the mosquito. Now, through the help of one, it will inject the its saliva, and this is the one that usually created a lot of problem for us. It is not this the blood sucking mechanism that has created the problem. It is this the saliva which is injected into the body of the host or the body of the human being, so which act as an anticoagulant. So because when blood flows from warm blooded animals like human beings to the cold blooded animal, there may be chances of clotting. So in order to prevent that, just before sucking the blood, it will inject the anticoagulant substances through this one needle. Then after that, it will take the blood. So this is what I was talking about. See, if you see this, now this is an electron microscopic view. One cannot believe that they have all these razor sharp needle like structures. It looks very a blunt structure, but they have usually razor sharp structures. Now this is a structure with the help of which they usually pour their saliva. This is the one to the body of the host, and with the help of the other one, it will simply take the blood. Now, when it injects the saliva into the human body, along with the saliva, the pathogen or the vector or the parasite that is present inside their gut or digestive tract, or including salivary gland, will be entering into the body of the human being. And while taking the blood, if that particular individual or a person is an infected individual, the pathogen can get their entry into the stomach of the mosquitoes. So this is how these mosquitoes will suck the blood. Now, so this is the action, as I said. See, this is the one with the help of which it will inject the anticoagulant or the saliva, and with the help of the other one, it will suck the blood. So then, what attracts the mosquitoes? Now, there are a lot of the assumptions that the mosquitoes will be attracted by weather pattern. Then there are different blood groups gets attracted. So basically, biologists believed, or the entomologists believed, that so there are four important substances which will be attracting the mosquitoes. The first one is the sweating. So the excess sweating that emitted from the body is the main attraction for the mosquito. So therefore, if you have a sweat body, definitely, so it gets attracted by mosquitoes. Then, believe it or not, now the lotions, or those the what we say, that body lotions which we usually use to put for our body, also act as attractants. Then even the deodorants, even though we are using for the different purpose, unfortunately the mosquitoes are also get attracted by the deodorants. And of course, the carbon dioxide. Now these two are the artificial things, but the sweat, which contains lactic acid, carbon dioxide, cholesterol, all those things usually act as the attractions for the mosquitoes. Of course, they have a different sensors with the help of which they usually attract they gets attracted towards the human beings. Then it is also believed that different blood group individuals are attracted towards the mosquitoes. Even though the studies say that O blood group individuals are more susceptible for the mosquito attack compared to that of the other one. Of course, we can't rely upon all those things, because even if it has hundreds of individuals, then it's okay. Otherwise, it will take the blood meal from any of the host individual. So other than this, the next one, when they are active. Now this is a very, very important one. You might be, if you are working in plantations, especially the areca plantations, if you are going to the field, definitely in the morning hours you will get these bitings from these mosquitoes. These are commonly we call it as Aedes mosquitoes, right? The dengue vectors, very, very common in our places. Almost it has a distribution all over our South Canada or Dakshin Kannada district, including the Udupi district also. Voracious vector, so which is usually active during morning hours. So its active time is from morning, we can say morning 7 to evening 5 or 5:30. So after that, we also know that it is the dawn and the dusk time is the most active time for the mosquitoes to bite. So rest of the mosquitoes become active during dawn and dusk, early morning and in the late evening. But there are mosquitoes which will bite human beings even during the night time also. Usually the Culex mosquitoes and the Anopheles mosquitoes and the indoor mosquitoes, they usually bite even during the night time. So their peak time of the biting is dawn and dusk. So suppose if they didn't got any opportunity to suck the blood, so then definitely they will come during the night time for the blood sucking. So that is the most active time of the biting. Again, as I said, it depends upon the type of the species. Generally speaking, Aedes mosquitoes bite during daytime. The rest of the mosquitoes during down dusk or during the night time. Now, we know that mosquitoes are universally hated. There is no point in arguing that we love mosquitoes. Definitely, we all usually hate these mosquitoes. Now, if you ask why, the reason is fear. No, no one is, no one has a fear for the mosquitoes. So then, what may the reason? Now, why we usually hate the mosquitoes? Simply because they act as a nuisance. So simply they, if the mosquitoes are there means they usually take away our the sleep. So we usually have a sleepless night. So that is the main reason. But actually, why we have to hate them, or why the entire human population is threatened because of these mosquitoes is, the reason is this fact shows the answer. Now, if you type some words deadliest animal in the Google, you will get the answer as mosquitoes. Believe it or not, now if you look at these figures, now these are the figures which are given by the three news channels, I guess. It says that approximately 1 million death, 7.5 lakhs or 7.25 lakhs. So death per year through the mosquitoes. Leave all the other things. So that means if you consider, if you take all the other insects or any other organism, the total number of the death which is caused by the mosquitoes is highest. So therefore, we have to consider them as deadliest. Now, why we are considering the mosquitoes as deadliest? Because they act as vectors, or they act as vehicles, or they are the carriers of the different diseases. Of course, the first discovery took place in the year 1877. It was Patrick Manson who started the importance of the mosquitoes by identifying the cause for human filariasis. Anekal ರೋಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ, that gets transmitted by the Culex mosquito was first discovered by Patrick Manson. And of course, all of you know that Ronald Ross, Sir Ronald Ross, who was the person who identified, or the first time observed the presence of the Plasmodium vector in the body of the mosquitoes. So one who discovered the cause for the, or sorry, the transmission of the malaria by the mosquitoes. So later on, several diseases were discovered. That is the transmission by the mosquito were discovered: yellow fever, dengue, chikungunya. All these are the diseases which are transmitted by the mosquitoes. Remember, now all these diseases are not caused by the mosquitoes, they are transmitted. So that means they act as a vehicles for the transfer of the pathogens from one host to the other host. So therefore, in 1996, it was the World Health Organization called the mosquitoes as the public enemy number one, because they were causing a lot of death of the human population, especially in underdeveloped countries and in developed countries. So let me put on some of the data. For example, see, the if you look at the latest data also, that is World Health Organization report says that 5 lakh death due to the mosquito borne diseases annually. Now this is the latest figure. Now in India, see, you think about this, that is, out of the 6 major vector borne diseases, that is the diseases which are transmitted by the animals, out of that 5 diseases are transmitted by the mosquitoes, namely malaria, filariasis, JE, dengue and chikungunya. So then apart from this, if you look at the scenario of the other disease, that is malaria, so you look at this pattern. So most of the tropical countries and the subtropical or the temperate countries are affected by the malaria. So the studies in India says that almost 94% of the population at the risk of malaria. So this is what, see, the number of death which is caused by the malaria, it is 7.25 lakh. Of course, when we ನಮಗೆ ಅದು ಯಾಕೆ ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿ ಡೆತ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ಮಲೇರಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವತ್ತು ಹೆಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬ್ರೇಕಿಂಗ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಡನ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿ ಡೆತ್ ವಿಲ್ ಅಕರ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ಲಿ. So therefore, it is very, even though the rainy season is the peak season during which we can see the highest number of diseases, but the death usually takes place as a constant figures. It is not a sudden increase or the decrease in the number. So therefore, we can't actually make out the exact number of these death that occur by this malaria. So again, you take this one more disease, that is the dengue, which is transmitted by that Aedes mosquitoes. Now again, the tropical countries are the one which is affected mainly by this the dengue. Now you'll again look at the scenario from the India, that is 3.3 million, that means almost 33 lakhs of dengue cases. Now it was published in 2013. Of course, it says that now these dengue or the chikungunya or the diseases that is transmitted by these Aedes mosquitoes, they usually have a peak for every 5 years. So that means probably these are the time during which we have to be a little precautious. That means we had a peak season during 2008 and 9. Then after that, 2014 and 15 are the time during which again there was increase in the number of dengue cases. Again, last year and this year also there is increase in the dengue cases. So what it indicates that now these diseases usually gets transmitted once in a 5 year, and once in a 5 year their numbers usually reaches the peak number. Now let me show how the transmission of these vectors or the transmission of this disease causing agent usually takes place. See, you can see, suppose imagine a mosquito has taken blood meal from a infected person. Suppose if that same mosquito, if by disturbance, if it has taken the blood from another individual, it will not transmit the disease. Andre ಈ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಅರ್ಧ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ತೆಗೆದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ತೆಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಒನ್ಸ್ ದಿ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ that pathogen that has entered into the body of the mosquito has to complete its life cycle. Then it has to come to the salivary gland. Then only it can transmit the disease. So ಆದ ಕಾರಣ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಕಡಿದ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋದಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಆಗುವಂತ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದರ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ that parasite has to complete its life cycle. Only after that it will act as infectious agent or infectious vector for the transmission of the disease. So therefore, in any of the diseases, it will take mosquitoes a minimum of 8 to 10 days to complete this life cycle. Again, it depends upon the type of the pathogen. In case of plasmodium, it is hardly, I guess, about 6 to 8 days. For dengue, it says that about the 8 to 10 days. So only after that it can transmit the disease to the other individual. So that is how this transmission takes place. Of course, this is true with reference to all the cases. For example, in Plasmodium also it is true, and in dengue, chicken, in every cases, um, the pathogen has to complete its life cycle within the body. Only after that it can enter the salivary gland, and when it pours the saliva into the other individual, it transmit those pathogen into the body of the other individual. So that is how the transmission takes place. Now, the last question that arises is how we can get rid of them, or what would we happen if we did, or what is the role of these the mosquitoes in the ecosystem? Can we eliminate all these mosquitoes, or why can't we take all those mosquitoes, or why these mosquitoes will not become extinct? Now, if you guess the answer, can we eradicate all the mosquito species? It is, the answer is this one. So definitely it is impossible. Now, if you find out the reason is very simple. See, if you look at these animals, unlike human beings or unlike the vertebrate organism, they don't have any well-developed brain. Their brain is a very, very simple, tiny organ, and they have not strengthened skeleton. So if you press it by 2 fingers, they will die. Then they don't have a hard exoskeleton, unlike the beetles. ಜೀರುಂಡೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ತರದ ಎಕ್ಸೋಸ್ಕೆಲ್ಟನ್ ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬಾ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ರೈಟ್? ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಫ್ರೆಜೈಲ್ ಬಾಡಿ. ಆಸ್ ಐ ಸೆಡ್, ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಸಲ ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಅದು ಸಾಯ್ತವೆ. ಫುಡ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಗೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇರೆ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ನ ಹಾಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಫುಡ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ 2 ಫುಡ್. ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ನೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅದರ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ the blood. So only limited supply. It has only 2 sources. It requires the blood only for the development of the egg. So therefore, if you consider all these things, what it says, so it is very easy for us to eliminate these animals. ಯಾವ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ, ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಗಳಿಗಾದ್ರೂ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ದಿ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಸ್, ಈ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಯಾವ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ they become most successful insect. How? The reason is dual life. Now this is a very, very important factor that made these mosquitoes as most successful animals. Dual life means they can feed on the plant materials, and they can also they suck the blood. So that is one very important character. And the second one is 3 habitats. They are found in aquatic habitats, they are found in terrestrial habitats, and they are also aerial. So suppose if you want to eradicate all the mosquitoes, you have to destroy all the freshwater habitats, which is totally impossible for us. Even if you have, imagine if you have eradicated all the aquatic lentic habitats, then they are also present in terrestrial habitats. They are also found in aerial ecosystems. So therefore, because they can utilize all the 3 types of habitats, they become most successful organisms. So then they have a variety of hosts. See, it is not that mosquitoes only bite human beings for blood. They can take even blood from the frog, starting from frog up to human beings. So that means all those animals which have those blood becomes the food for female mosquitoes. Then the next one is a very important one. Human beings have tried to eliminate these mosquitoes. ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಸಾಯಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಬಟ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕಮ್ ಅಪ್ ವಿತ್ well developed shield. That is how we know that how the superbugs have been formed. In the same manner, in the 1970s, we were trying to eliminate these mosquitoes by spraying the DDTs, and we know the outcome. After 10 years, they came up with resistance. So 10 ವರ್ಷ ನಂತರ ನೀವು DDT ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ನೀರಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಬೇರೆ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಸಾಯ್ಬೇಕು ಬಿಟ್ರೆ mosquito larvae became resistant. So apart from this, the very important one is adaptability according to the circumstances. Now I'll give you a very interesting example. Now I really don't know, because if I consider my own childhood, we didn't have those Aedes mosquitoes or the dengue vector during our time. ಇದ್ದಿರಬಹುದು, ಇದ್ರೂ ಅದರ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ when human beings have changed the entire ecosystem, so when we deforested all the forest areas, we converted it into rubber plantation. ನಿಜವಾಗಿ ಅದರ ಅದರ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ನ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಅದು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಸ್. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ದಿ circumstances, definitely they have utilized it. So that is the best example for how these mosquitoes are adapting to the changing environmental conditions. Now these are the factors which made them most successful insects. So of course we can't blame all these mosquitoes because they are the vectors, so therefore we have to eliminate. So there are, if you consider the entire population, only about 6 to 7%. So that means a total of about, approximately I'm talking about 50 to 55 species among the 3,500 species act as vectors. So apart from that, so they also have the role because they also act as pollinators, because their main diet is the nectars or the pollen grains. So therefore they act as pollinators. So then they also act as a food source for the Arctic birds. So in Arctic region during summer season, mid-flies and the mosquitoes becomes the vital food for the survival of the birds. So therefore they act as a food source for Arctic birds. Then of course it is very much essential for us to maintain the ecological balance. See, if you try to eliminate these mosquitoes, there may be some other insects which may come and utilize that particular habitat. So therefore maintenance for the of the ecological balance also we require this mosquitoes. Then a very important thing is, it is not that all the mosquitoes are the blood feeders. There are mosquitoes which are feeding on nectars only. I'll talk ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ. So therefore it is always not fair to say that all these mosquitoes are the destroyer of the human population. So they were actually living calmly in the environment, but because when we human beings changed the habitat, or we made the drastic change in our environmental system, so they have altered it. So therefore now we have increased the chances of the mosquito-borne diseases. So what is the solution that is available for these mosquitoes? Now of course we have hundreds of methods that are available. Among all these, first and foremost one is sustainable development. So we say we have to protect our environment. So sustainable development is the first and foremost goal in mosquito control program. So how, for example, see, if there is a lot of forest coverage there, now these mosquitoes will never enter into the human habitation. So therefore sustainable development or the maintenance of ecological balance is the most fundamental aspect. And of course for the mosquito control we have used several physical methods. We have used chemicals like starting from DDT, endosulfan, Gamex, and we have used hundreds of chemicals, but they come up with a new solution. So these are some of the solutions which were tried by the scientists. One is Gambusia or guppy fish, another one is the tadpole, and this is the nymph of dragonfly, helicopter fly anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ. But again all these things have their own problem. For example, Gambusia fish, ನಾವು ಲ್ಯಾಬೊರೇಟರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಗೋಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು, okay, they will consume the mosquito larvae, so many larvae will be consumed by these the fishes. But in the field they have their own choices, because most of the studies say that when you provide only mosquito larvae, they will eat mosquito larvae. But in the environment in which these mosquito larvae are there, so there are other larvae will be also there. So their dietary requirements, or they usually feed on other insects which may be useful for human beings. So therefore in vivo studies or in laboratory studies we may think that now these Gambusia may decrease the mosquito population, but we have to take into consideration of the environmental condition in which all the other parameters also has to be set down. Of course one can use this dragonfly larvae
or this is not the larvae, it is called nymph, that is young one of the dragonflies. And of course these tadpoles, again they have their own problem, because see, for example, if you want to kill the mosquito larvae which is present in uh, the smaller habitats like the cups and the receptacles or the mud pot, etc., these animals cannot live in that particular habitat. So therefore the scientists were tried with the several of these animals. This is one important animal or biocontrol agent which I have used for as a mosquito control. Again, I have done this study only in laboratory conditions. Again, I have to do it in the field. Now this is the larvae. You can see here the size difference. Now this is the fourth instar larvae of the normal mosquitoes, and this is the other one. This is called Toxorhynchatus splendens. This is actually a mosquito which feeds on other mosquito larvae. So therefore, one can use it as a biocontrol agent. I have tried with this Toxorhynchatus splendens larvae. Again, there are some problems, because if you introduce this particular larvae, you have to introduce only one larvae. Suppose if you introduce two larvae, ಅಲ್ಲಿಯಾದ್ರೆ ಎರಡು ಈ ತರದ ಟಾಕ್ಸೋರಿಂಕೈಟಿಸ್ ಲಾರ್ವೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಈ ಫುಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ತಿನ್ನೋ ಮೊದಲು ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಜಗಳಾಡಿ ಮೊದಲು ಒಂದನ್ನ ಸಾಯಿಸ್ತದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದನ್ನು ತಿನ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ therefore it is not that easy. The other mosquito larvae is called Lutzia. Again, one more species which act as a predatory mosquito which prey upon the other smaller mosquito species. So one can think of these two mosquito species. Of course, idra adult idiyala, this adult is a very large sized mosquito, and it is we can call that as a vegetarian mosquito, because it won't bite. Even the female will not bite for human being for the blood. So therefore there is a scope for research using this particular mosquito larvae. Again, one more advantage is that if you use the fish, for example, you can't use the fish in a very small size tree holes. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ ಫಿಶ್ ಅನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ again the dragonflies won't fit in that particular environment, but these Toxorhynchatus larvae can fit into even very smaller habitat also. So that is the another biocontrol agent. Apart from that, there are hundreds of plant materials were tried. Of course, we know that the marigold or tulsi or eucalyptus, they are all used as a repellents, and their essential oils from the tulsi and the eucalyptus also known to have larvicidal property. Then the this one, that is the citrus fruits, are known for their very potent adulticide or the repellent and the larvicidal property. I have tried with the two species of the citrus plants. Again, the results in laboratory conditions were excellent, but one has to try it with the field larvae, which is quite difficult. So these are the some of the plant sources which we can use it as a control measure for the controlling the mosquitoes. So then of course, see, always when I used to give the project work, usually students used to give or used to take butterflies, moths, birds, then dragonflies. They never asked me to work on the mosquitoes, because they think that they are the ugly animals. Remember, like any other insect, so they also need very clear water. They may breed in water which is turbid, but turbid means it is not a polluted water. It may contain higher organic content. That's the reason. So if you observe, this is a dragonfly and this is a mosquito, almost this is quite interesting, or it is as beautiful as this dragonfly, now this mosquito. Now this is one of the very common mosquito that usually bites us during the evening time. ಮನೆಗೆ ಸಂಜೆ ಆಗುವ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಬರ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಆರ್ಮಿಜೆರಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಈ ಆರ್ಮಿಜೆರಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ತುಂಬಾ ಉಪದ್ರ, ತುಂಬಾ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಕಡಿದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ನೋವಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಬಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ದಿ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್. ಸಪೋಸ್ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ some other disease causing or disease spreading mosquitoes can utilize their habitats, so then there may be more chances of the disease spreading. So I have one more diagram. Now this is one more picture, that is this is a Monsonia species. Again, you can see the, now this mosquito is very, very beautiful, because when you take the freshly emerged mosquito, it usually have a golden brown scales. One more, of course, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, 2015 16 ಅಲ್ಲೋ ಬಂದಂತ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೊಣವನ್ನ, ಯಾವುದು ಹೌಸ್ ಫ್ಲೈ ಅನ್ನ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಹೀರೋ ತರ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಿ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ, ಇಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಲುಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಒನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ನೀಡಲ್ ಅನ್ನ ಹಾಗೆ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುವಂತದ್ದು, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಇನ್ಬಿಲ್ಟ್ ನೀಡಲ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಸಕ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್. So very beautiful mosquito. Now this is the one which act as a culprit or the vector for the dengue transmission. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪೋಸ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಈಡಿಸ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋದಿಂದ, ಈಡಿಸ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಮನೆ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಬರದಂತೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇನ್ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಕನ್ನಡ, because I have worked for about 6 to 7 years, I never found a single sample of Aedes aegypti. It was this one. ನಾಮ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಅದರ ಥೊರಾಸಿಕ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ದ ನಾಮ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ನಾಮ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಹೀಗಿದ್ರೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ Aedes albopictus ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ವೆರಿ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವೆರಿ ಟೈನಿ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ bites for the blood, there'll be itching also takes place. ಕೆಲವರಿಗೆ ಇದಾಗ್ತದೆ, itching ಬರ್ತದೆ, ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So that is the indication that the Aedes mosquitoes have taken the blood from us. Again, you can note down here smaller structures also, the antennas, then the palpes, etc. So these are the some of the mosquito species. I am not going in detail about these mosquito species. ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೇ ತರ ಇದ್ದ ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ 6 ಕಾಲಿದೆ. Then if you look at the individual mosquitoes, they are different. For example, here its proboscis is completely dark. Its hind leg is painted in white color. Here there are 3 or 4 markings. Here markings are in the joint region. Then this is a very important one which acts as a malarial vector in our region. Andre South Canada maximum ಇರುವಂತ mosquito ಇದು. This is a vector for malaria. Now these are the other 2 species which are not actually vector. ನೋಡಿ, ಈಗ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ, this is a vector for Japanese encephalitis. Maculatus and Stephens are the only 2 mosquitoes which act as a vector. Andre ನಮ್ಮ region ಅಲ್ಲಿ it is Anopheles stephens is the only vector that transmit the malarial fever. Now these are the some of the Culex mosquitoes. You can see the difference here. ನೋಡಿ, ಇದರ thoracic region ಅಲ್ಲಿ, so it has a very beautiful white colored patch here. Then some of them have proboscis which is banded like this. So ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ one can easily identify that this is a male and this is a female of different species. Again, this is what I was talking about, that is Armigerus ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಇದರ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋವನ್ನು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ತುಂಬಾ ಈಸಿ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದರ ಪ್ರೊಬೋಸಿಸ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಬಾಕಿ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಇದರ ಪ್ರೊಬೋಸಿಸ್, whereas this mosquito has a slightly bent proboscis. It has a bent proboscis. This is one of the species which is very has a very close similarity towards the Aedes mosquitoes, that is called as Frederidia vittatus anteli. So then these are the diversity of the larvae which I have obtained during my studies. So the variety of larvae, if you observe these larvae, each one is different from the other one. I'll go for this one. For example, if you see this Culex brevipalpis, so idra entire body size nodi matte adra siphon size nodi. The siphon is almost equal to the size of their entire body. So then here some of the species, they usually have a spindle shaped siphon, right? So this is only the pictures I have shown to show that variety and variability of the mosquitoes larvae. So idralli I am not talking about all these species. I'll go with these 3 important mosquitoes. For example, if you observe this Tripteroides aranoides, see the entire abdomen region is full of stellate hairs or small size hairs. So it looks like the larvae is almost like a caterpillar. Right now, this is another species which usually we can observe only in uh, leaf axils of for the pineapple plants. Now this is that vector, that is, sorry, the predatory mosquito which can consume any of these mosquito larvae if they are found cohabited in the single habitat. So this is what I was talking about. See, this is these two are the vectors of the dengue and chikungunya. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು, ಮೈಸೂರು ಅಥವಾ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಈಡಿಸ್, ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಇಡೀ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲೇ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ದೇ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಈಡಿಸ್ ಈಜಿಪ್ಟಿ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಡೆಂಗ್ಯೂ. ಬಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದರ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ವೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಇದನ್ನ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನಮಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಗುವಂತದ್ದು ಇದು ಮಾತ್ರ, ತಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ನಾಮ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಈಡಿಸ್, ಸಾರಿ, ಸ್ಟಿಗೋಮಿಯಾ ಆಲ್ಬಾಪಿಕ್ಟಾ. ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಈಡಿಸ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಾನಮಿಕಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ changed already about 5 to 6 years ago. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಸ್ಟಿಗೋಮಿಯಾ ಆಲ್ಬಾಪಿಕ್ಟಾ. ಸೊ ಇದರ ಲಾರ್ವೆ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಈಸಿ. ಇದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ HF ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡಾರ್ಕ್ ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಿಲ್ವರಿ ವೈಟ್ ಕಲರ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಇದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಲ್ ಕಲರ್ ನ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ. ಸೊ ಇದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಗುವಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿರ್ತೇವೆ. ನಾವು ತೋಟಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಗಾರ್ಡನಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಬೆಳಗಿನ ಅವರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಖಂಡಿತ ನಮಗೆ ಇದು ಬೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ, ನಾನು ಅಷ್ಟು ಫೋಟೋ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ವೆನ್ ಯು ವರ್ಕ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಾನಮಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆಗುವಾಗ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಬಟರ್ಫ್ಲೈ ಆರ್ ಡ್ರ್ಯಾಗನ್ ಫ್ಲೈ ವೇರ್ ಬೈ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕಿಂಗ್ 2 or 3 photos only we can identify the species. But ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಯು ನೀಡ್ each and every important structures. For example, either ಈ ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಅನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, now this is thoracic region, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಅಬ್ಡಮನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಅದಷ್ಟು ಸಾಕಾಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಲಾರ್ವನ್ನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡಿಸೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿ ಹೆಡ್ ರೀಜನ್, ದೆನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಮೆಂಟಮ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಜನೈಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಒನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ಲಿ about a particular species. ನೀವು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸಿ. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಡಿಟೇಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ taxonomical features. So then these are the two important websites which one can look into the recent aspects of the mosquito work. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆದ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಆದಂತ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ನೇಮ್. ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಅದರ ಹೆಸರುಗಳು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಅದೇ ತರ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಸರುಗಳು ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರೆ ಈ ಎರಡು ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಎರಡು ನೀವು ಟೈಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಗೂಗಲ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎರಡು ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಡಿಟೇಲ್ ಆದ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್, ಹೊಸ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯಾವ ಹೊಸ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಹೆಸರು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಡಿಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್, just to conclude my topic, so I'll show you the two pictures. First one is, of course, first one depicts that, see, if you work with, or if you work with nature in harmony, those individuals will be also in harmony. ಇಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ then they will come to your door house paying the fee from you. ಸೊ ಅದ ಕಾರಣ ಸಿ ದಿ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋವನ್ನ ಇರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇಷ್ಟರವರೆಗೆ ಹೋದವರಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಈ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುವಾಗ ಲಾರ್ಜರ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಯಾವ್ದು ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹೈಲಿ ಇವಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಬೇಗ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ತವೆ. ಅದುವೇ ನೀವು ಲೋವರ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್, ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇವಲ್ಯೂಷನರಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ, ಮಾಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುವುದು ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಆಂಥ್ರೋಪಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ನಿಂದಾಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಆದ ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. So therefore it is very difficult for us to eliminate these mosquitoes from our natural habitat. Let it be there in their own natural habitats. So let us maintain the natural habitats of these mosquitoes for them, and keep our surroundings clean. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ, ಈ ಡೆಂಗ್ಯೂ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಅಂತ ಇರ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ಡೆಂಗ್ಯೂ ಈಡಿಸ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಟಿಗೋಮಿಯಾ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಈಗ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಅದು ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ನೀರ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬ್ರೀಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಕಂಟೈನರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬ್ರೀಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಈ ಈಡಿಸ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಕಂಟೈನರ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ನೀವು ಡ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಾಗುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವ ನೀರನ್ನ ಚೆಲ್ಲಿದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಗಿಯುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಎಗ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ದಿ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಇವನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 6 to 8 months. ಸೊ ಸಪೋಸ್ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಆ ಪಾತ್ರೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವ ನೀರನ್ನ ಕವಚಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ದಟ್ ಎಗ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರಿಮೇನ್ ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಟು ದ ಸರ್ಫೇಸಸ್. ಇನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ ಯಾವಾಗಾದ್ರೂ ರೈನ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅಥವಾ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರು ಬಿದ್ದಾಗ ಸೊ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಲಾರ್ವೆ. So therefore, in that case, one has to be very careful to scrap the inner contents so that these eggs also wipe out along with the water bodies. So my final words are is that I have worked with these mosquitoes for about 10, almost 12 years. They are the very interesting animals to work. Only thing is that if you are working with the eggs, larvae and pupa of the mosquitoes, it's well and good. Suppose if you want to work with the adult mosquitoes, then you may need a permission from for their collection also you may need permission. ಯಾಕಂತೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ethical permission ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ, because the collection and sampling requires blood. So for that we may need ethical permission. ಆದ ಕಾರಣ ನಾನು ಕೂಡ ನನ್ನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡಲ್ಟ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸ್ಯಾಂಪ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೋದಾಗ ರ್ಯಾಂಡಮ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದಂತದ್ದು. ಅಡಲ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೀವು ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಥಿಕಲ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡಿಸೀಸಸ್. ದೇರ್ಫೋರ್ ಒನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್. ಬಟ್ ಅಡಲ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಲಾರ್ವೇಸ್, eggs and their control measures. So there are a lot of scope for the mosquito work. So in India there are institutions. ICMR is the main that usually funds for mosquito related work. Especially if it is related to the mosquitoes and the vectors, they usually fund. ICMR is a main institution. Then there is an institution called Vector Control and Research Station, Pune iruvantadu. So those are the two institutions which usually mainly work on mosquitoes. So that's about my presentation. Madam, now it's over to you, madam.
Thank you, sir, for your interesting talk. Now, I request all the participants to turn on their videos.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಯಾವುದು ಅಂತ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಎರಡು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ? ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡೆರಡು ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನನಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ತೆಗೆಯೋದು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕವರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ.
IP ಸರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಸರ್?
Okay, I'll stop that. Okay.
ಹಾ.
Okay, sorry.
ಕೆಲವರು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ರದ್ದು ಫೇಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹಾ ಸರಿ, ಈಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದೆರಡು ರೋ ಬಾಕಿ ಇದೆ. ನಿಶ್ಮಿತಾ, ಸುಜನಾ, ಸುಪ್ರಿಯಾ, ಹರ್ಷಿತಾ, ಜೀವಿತಾ, ತೇಜಸ್ವಿ, ಧೃತಿ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ವಿಡಿಯೋ. ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡಿ. ಉಳಿದವ್ರು ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್. ತೇಜಸ್ವಿ, ಧೃತಿ, ಜಯಪ್ರಕಾಶ್, ಹರಿಸ್ ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾರಾ? ಹರ್ಷಿತಾ, ಅನುಷಾ, ಯಾರ್ದದು? ಮಕ್ಳು ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ನನ್ಗೆ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವರು ಬಾಕಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. All right, sir, students, carry on.
All of us do not have equal talent, yet all of us have an equal opportunity to develop our talents. Now, we have come to the end of our program. Saying thank you is more than good manners and it is good spirituality. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Anusha of us BZC to deliver the vote of thanks.
A very good evening to one and all. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this event. First of all, I would like to thank our resource person, Dr. Ishwar Prasad sir, who has honored this event with his thoughts. Thank you, sir.
Not audible.
Thank you.
I would like to thank our IQAC coordinator, Professor Shiv Prasad sir, for being with us during this event. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to thank our convener of Nature Club, Dr. Smita PG ma'am, for her constant support. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank Professor Sri Krishna Ganraj Bhatt sir, HOD of Botany Department, Suhas Krishna sir of Zoology Department, Saumitra sir of Botany Department, and Nisha ma'am of Chemistry Department for joining us despite their busy schedules. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all my friends for attending this event and making this a successful one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Students?
Anusha.
Just a second, students. If there are any queries for sir, IP sir, ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಡುವ. You can always ask him later also, in case you have any issues.
ಲೇಟರ್ ಕೇಳುವಂತ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ.
ಇಲ್ಲ.
ನಾನು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿ ಕೇಳಿ ಸಾಕಾಗಿ ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಮುಗೀತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ್ತದೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಯ್ತು.
ಸರ್, ನನಗೆ ಕ್ವೆರೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ನಾನೇ ಇಷ್ಟರವರೆಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ರಿಯಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೇ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ಇಕಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಪಿರಮಿಡ್, ಫುಡ್ ಚೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಗೆ ಸಹ ಒಂದು ರೋಲ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಸ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ತೊಂದರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಅಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಕೊಲ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವುಗಳ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಇಫ್ ವಿ ಡೂ ದಟ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ದ ಫುಡ್ ಚೈನ್, ಐ ಬಿಲೀವ್. ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಅವುಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಹ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ
ಮೇಡಮ್. ಒಂದು 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ನೋಡಿ. ನಾವು ಈಗ ಅವತ್ತು ಒಂದು 10, 15 ಅಥವಾ 20 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇಶನ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇಶನ್ ಅವಾಗ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಾಡುಗಳಿತ್ತು, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಇತ್ತು. ನಾವು ಹೇಳಿದ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಡೆಂಗು ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಏಷ್ಯನ್ ಟೈಗರ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಅಂತ. ಟೈಗರ್ನಾಗ ಅದು ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ, ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ. ನೀವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಡಿಫಾರೆಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾವುದು ಈ ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇಶನ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ದೇ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸಲೆಂಟ್ ಬ್ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ದೆಮ್. ಸೊ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆದಂತ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋಸ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗಿಂತ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬಂದಾಗುವಾಗ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟೆಡ್ ದೆಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. ಇನ್ನೀಗ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್. ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟೆಡ್ ದೆಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಟು ದಿ ಅವರ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಡ್.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿಡಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಓದಿದೆ ಸರ್, ಡಿಡಿಟಿ ಬ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈಗಲೂ ಸಹ ಮದರ್ಸ್ ಮಿಲ್ಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಡಿಟಿ ಟ್ರೇಸಸ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ದೋ ನಾಟ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್, ಅಷ್ಟು ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ ಅದು ನೇಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ. ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೋ ಉದ್ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿದ್ದು, ಸೊಳ್ಳೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಬೇಗನೆ ಹೋಗುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು. ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಹಿಂದಿನಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿದ ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಲಸಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಈಗಲೂ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಅದು.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಅದು ನೋಡಿ, ಈಗ ನೀವು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟಿಸೈಡಲ್ ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋದಿದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅನಾಫೆಲಿಸ್ ಡಿಫೆನ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳುವಂತದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ 3 ವೆರೈಟಿ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಆರ್ ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಡಿಡಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು DDT ಅಥವಾ ಅದರ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೊಲ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಯೂಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಅದರ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸ್. So they have already developed resistance. So then there is no point in using these DDT as a control measure. ಅಥವಾ ಅದರ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಆರ್ಗಾನೋಕ್ಲೋರೈಡ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಆರ್ಗಾನೋಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ. So they are not susceptible for those the chemicals. See, ಒಂದು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ನೀವು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿದಾರ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ. ಟಾಕ್ಸೋರಿಂಕೈಟಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಈ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಾರ್ಕ್ ಆದ ಕಲರ್ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಪಾಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಖಂಡಿತ ಅದು ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ನಮಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಎಕ್ಸಲೆಂಟ್ ಬಯೋ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್. ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸೈಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅದು. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಈಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಲಾರ್ವೇಸ್.
ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ಇರೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಹೌದು ಸರ್. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪುನಃ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗ್ರೋ ಇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ.
Yes, yes, yes,
Somebody
yes,
has to
yes.
supply that ಅಲ್ಲ.
Yes,
ಲಾಸ್ಟ್
yes.
ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ
Yes, yes, yes.
ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇರಬಹುದು ಬಯೋ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ.
ಹೌದೌದು, ಹೌದು, ಹೌದು.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದೇ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತದ ಏನಾ? ಆಸ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಸಜೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನೇಮ್ಸ್. ಇವನ್ ದುರ್ಗರತ್ನ ಅವರ ಮಗ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತದೆ. ಅದು ಸಹ ಟ್ರೆಡಿಷನಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಒಂದು ಹಿಟ್ಟಿಸ್ ಗ್ರಾವ್ಯುಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟಿನ ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್.
ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಈಗ ನೇಚರ್ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತವ್ರನ್ನು ಕರೆದು ಮಾತಾಡಿಸಿದ್ರು ಸರ್. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಿಗ್ಬೋದು, ಉಳಿದ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅನಿಸ್ತದೆ.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಅವರ ಮನೆ ಹತ್ರ ಇರುವಂತ ಲಾರೋವನ್ನೇ ಯಾವ್ದಾರು ತಗೊಂಡು ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು 10-20 ಲಾರೋ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೂ ವಿತ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಮಾಸ್ಕಿಟೋ ಲಾರ್ವಿಸೈಡಲ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್.
ತುಂಬಾ ಮಂದಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇಗನೆ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಬರುವ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ರು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದೌದು.
ಇಷ್ಟವರಿಗೆ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗದ ಕಾರಣ
only thing is that they should identify whether they are the mosquito larvae or something else. ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಮಕ್ಕಳು.
ಅಷ್ಟು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದು, ಹೌದು.
ಅದನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ ಸರ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ? ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ನಾವು ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತದೆ ನನಗೆ.
ಖಂಡಿತ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಮೇಡಮ್. ಲಾರ್ವಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಸಾಧಾರಣ ನಾನೊಂದು ಒಂದು 5-6 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಾರಣ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ ಅವ್ರ ಮಕ್ಕಳು.
ಹೌದು, ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದೌದು, ಹೌದು.
ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಪಾಠ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಆದ್ರೂ ಸಹ ನೀವು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಿಂದೆ ಬೀಳದೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ಕೆಲಸನೂ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಲೀಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅರ್ಧದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ಬಾರ್ದು. So I hope you have learned a lesson from today's talk, students. And shall we end the next session? Thank you, everyone. You may leave the meet.